She sat in the waiting room with her eyes fixed on the floor, her fingers nervously twisting the strap of her worn leather purse. The faint hum of the air conditioner, the smell of antiseptic, and the soft rustle of papers all blurred together into a background she barely noticed. What weighed heavier was the shame she carried, a secret she had hidden for months, maybe too long. Lila had never liked hospitals. They made her feel small, exposed. But lately she had no choice. Her health had been getting worse. The pain had grown sharper, the fatigue heavier. Still, it wasn't the illness that frightened her most. It was the humiliation of explaining it. She had already been laughed at by one doctor who had brushed her off, saying her symptoms were probably stress. She sighed and pulled her hoodie tighter around her shoulders. The receptionist called her name softly. "Miss Lila James, the doctor will see you now." Her legs trembled slightly as she walked down the hall. She expected another gray-haired man with tired eyes and a distant tone. But when she stepped inside the room, she froze. The doctor couldn't have been more than 30. He stood near the desk, adjusting his white coat, his stethoscope dangling casually. His nameplate read, Dr. Nathan Carter. He turned and smiled warmly. "Hi, Lila, I'm Dr. Carter. Please, have a seat." His voice wasn't the usual clinical monotone. It was kind, calm, the kind that disarmed you before you even knew it. Lila managed a small nod and sat down, clutching her bag like a shield. "So," he began gently, "I read through your initial report, but I'd like to hear it from you. What's been going on?" Her throat tightened. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "It's okay," he said softly, leaning forward. "Take your time. Whatever it is, you're safe here." Those words, "you're safe here," broke something inside her. Tears she'd been holding back for months welled up and spilled over. I've been to 3 doctors, she whispered. "They said it's in my head, but it's not. I know my body. Something's wrong with me." Dr. Carter didn't interrupt. He simply nodded and handed her a tissue. "And you're not crazy," he said quietly. "Let's start from the beginning. Tell me everything." And she did. For the next 20 minutes, Lila poured out everything, the symptoms, the exhaustion, the moments of fear when she thought she might collapse at work, the humiliation when others told her she was being dramatic. She expected him to dismiss her too, but he didn't. He listened, really listened, asking questions gently, typing notes but never losing eye contact. When she finished, she looked at him, defeated. "See? It sounds ridiculous." He shook his head. "It sounds human." Something in his voice made her look up. "You're not alone, Lila," he continued. "You're describing symptoms that might point to an autoimmune disorder, something we can test for properly. You should have been taken seriously months ago." Her breath caught. You believe me?" He smiled. "Absolutely." For the first time in months, she felt seen. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Carter ran tests, adjusted medications, and even called her personally to check on her progress. It wasn't just professionalism, it was genuine care. He remembered little details she mentioned, how she loved painting but had stopped because of fatigue, how she missed walking by the lake. Every time she came in, his encouragement gave her strength she didn't know she had left. One evening after her latest appointment, she lingered as she was leaving. "Dr. Carter," she said softly, "why do you care so much? You see so many patients." He hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Because once someone didn't listen to my mom. She had the same symptoms as you. They called it stress too. By the time someone finally cared enough to look deeper, it was too late." Her heart ached. "I'm so sorry," he nodded gently. "That's why I promised myself, no one leaves my office feeling unheard." Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they weren't from shame. "You kept that promise," she whispered. Months later, when her treatment began working and her energy returned, Lila brought a small canvas to his office. On it, she had painted a single candle in the dark, its flame bright and steady. She handed it to him with trembling hands. "You were my light when I couldn't see anything," she said. He smiled, that same gentle, reassuring smile from the first day. "You did the hard part," he said softly. "You kept fighting." And as she left the office, sunlight streaming through the window, Lila realized something she hadn't felt in a long time. She wasn't broken. She wasn't weak. She had just needed someone kind enough to listen, and a doctor who still believed that healing begins with care. Weeks turned into months, and Lila's visits became less about treatment and more about rebuilding her life, piece by piece, breath by breath. Her body was healing, yes, but something deeper inside her had changed too. She started painting again. At first, just small strokes, quiet, abstract shapes of light and shadow, but soon her canvas began to fill with color, with hope, with warmth. Dr. Carter noticed the difference immediately. "You look different," he said one morning as she came in for a follow-up. She smiled shyly. "I guess I feel different." He nodded, looking genuinely pleased. "You've been through a lot, Lila. Most people would have given up." She looked down. "I almost did. But you—" She hesitated, her voice trembling slightly. "You made me believe that maybe my story wasn't over yet." He smiled softly. "It's never over, it just changes direction." That day, he told her her latest results. Her condition was stabilizing. The worst was behind her. She laughed through tears, the sound of it echoing in the small office. When she stood to leave, he handed her a small note, written in careful handwriting. "Strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising again, even when it hurts." She carried that note everywhere, in her wallet, in her sketchbook. On the nights when doubt returned, she'd unfold it, read it, and remind herself she wasn't the scared woman sitting in that waiting room anymore. One evening, months later, she was walking home when she spotted someone outside a pharmacy, a woman about her age, sitting on the curb, crying quietly. Lila hesitated for a moment, then walked over. "Hey," she said softly, "are you okay?" The woman shook her head. "I don't think anyone cares." Lila knelt down beside her. "I used to think that too," she said. "But someone did, and it changed everything." She helped the woman up, offered her water, and gave her the name of Dr. Carter's clinic. When she got home that night, she emailed him. "I think I finally understand what you meant. Healing isn't something that happens to you. It's something you pass on." He replied simply, "You've just become someone else's light, Lila. I'm proud of you." Tears filled her eyes again, but they weren't sad ones. They were full of gratitude, for pain that became purpose, for kindness that created a ripple. And somewhere in that same city, under soft golden light, a young doctor smiled at a message that reminded him why he'd chosen this path, to heal not just bodies, but hearts. Because sometimes the greatest medicine isn't found in a prescription. It's found in kindness that refuses to look away,